Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Muslims should be very sensitive about their religion. This is absolutely a fact, which is an established fact. Muslims have to be very, very sensitive regarding matters of their religion. However, at the same time, they should be also on the lookout to present the message of Islam wherever they can, in whatever form they can, in a very wise and a very sagacious manner. They have to look for opportune moments in which they can present the true message of Islam. Now, a question which arises in this is that what should the Muslim do when he has to deal with certain relatives who are absolutely disobedient to God? They do not obey God. They not only do not obey God, but they go very far, and they even become bold as to show arrogance before God. So, should Muslims sever their relations with such people, with such relatives? Now, if we examine this question in the light of the Quran, we find that there is a clear instance which can be drawn as an analogy from. For example, in the Quran it is said that if the parents of a person are non-Muslims, or they are mushrik, they are polytheists, they call their sons or their daughters or their children towards shirk, the Quran says that they must not obey their parents in this regard. However, in spite of being mushrik parents, the children are advised they are advised that they must deal very affectionately with their parents. They must not sever their relationship with their parents. They must have a very strong bond with them, and they must behave with them in a very decent manner. So therefore, if we draw an analogy from this, we can safely say that even today, if we come across relatives who are very, very arrogant, who have become very haughty against God, they do not obey God, then it is not a very befitting attitude to sever our relation, to break our relations with such relatives, especially if they are blood relatives. We must not do that, because you see, we Muslims have been given this opportunity to present what is the truth before them, and we have to look for opportune moments to present these facts to them. And one never knows how a person can be changed simply by certain facts which one can present. So it's our own responsibility to present whatever truth we think of Islam before such people. We should look out for the right moment, for the right time, when we can strike their hearts with the truth, and one never knows when the hearts change. So it's our responsibility to present the truth to them as much as we can in the right manner at the right time, and for this it is absolutely essential that we must not break off our relations. So as we have seen from the Quran never told children whose parents are mushrik to break away from them. It said no, instead of that, they must be very, very well behaved towards their parents. They must look after them in spite of this fact. So therefore, today, even if a person indulges in shirk and does something as heinous as shirk or polytheism on the same grounds, especially if he's a blood relative, Muslims must not cut off their relations with such a person. They should try to look for moments and for time and for opportunities in which he or she could present through his own character and deeds the right message of Islam, because one never knows when the heart of a person can change. One has to carry out one's own responsibility and leave this change to God. One never knows when God changes the heart of a person, and our own responsibility is to look out for opportune moments in which we can present the message of Islam, in which we can interact with such people. Because if we do not interact with people who are disobedient with God, who will? Who will tell them the right thing? So this is not the right attitude to break one's relationships with people who are disobeying God. On the other hand, one must be even more sensitive, even more concerned about such people, and this concern can only be shown if this relationship is built on lines in which a person does not get disappointed easily, does not get frustrated and breaks off these relations, and he becomes even more sensitive, he becomes even more sympathetic and concerned when he sees that his relative is disobeying God. So the more our relatives disobey God, the more we should be concerned with them, the more we should look after them, the more we should cement our ties with them, because one never knows when one's own deeds and one's own words might change the heart of such a disobedient relative. أقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم ولسائر المسلمين والمسلمات.